In this video we're going to look at finding the missing angle of a right angled triangle using trigonometry. You're probably familiar with the sine, cos and tan rules. So sine x is the opposite length over the hypotenuse, cos x is the adjacent length over the hypotenuse, and tan x is the opposite length over the adjacent length. Okay, let's have a look at the first example. So the first step is to label each side. So the longest side, the side opposite the right angle, is always the hypotenuse. The length next to the angle is always the adjacent length, so there's A, and the length that is opposite the angle is O. Okay, and then we have a look and say which lengths have we got information about. So when we look at this triangle, we know what the adjacent length is and the hypotenuse length. So when we look across at the formula, we can see that the only rule that uses A and H is cos x. So therefore we're going to use cos to work out x. So if we fill in all the information we know cos x is equal to 5 over 8. And rearranging that to get x by itself, we know that cos is equal to x is equal to cos to the minus 1 or inverse cos of 5 over 8. Okay, and putting that into a calculator, we get that x is equal to 51.3 degrees. Okay, let's look at another example. So again, the first step is to work out the hypotenuse, the adjacent length and the opposite length. And looking at the information that we've got, we know we've got the adjacent length and we do know what the opposite length is. So when we look across at the rules, we know that tan is the only one that uses both O and A. Okay, so if we substitute everything we know in, so we get tan x equals 6 over 4. And rearranging that to get x by itself, we get x is equal to tan to the minus 1 or inverse tan of 6 over 4. And putting that into the calculator, we get that x is equal to 56.3 degrees. Okay, and the last example we're going to look at is this right angle triangle. So again, first step, label each side. So we know this is the hypotenuse, this will be the adjacent side, and this will be the opposite. And this time we know the opposite side and we know the hypotenuse. So looking across, we know that sine is the only one that uses O and H. So substituting that in, we get sine x is equal to 7 over 11. And rearranging that to get x by itself, we get x is equal to inverse sine, or sine to the minus 1, of 7 over 11. And putting that into a calculator, we get that x is equal to 39.5 degrees to 1 decimal place. I hope this video has been helpful.